right, Stevie. When I count to 3, you'll be forever free of this silly little aversion of yours. 1, 2. Your son's problem is beyond my skills. I am sorry.
You have a pea on you.
Do I?
You are our last hope. What can we do now?
Well, there is one who can help. I hesitate to suggest it, because I don't care for his methods, but in little Stevie's case, I'll make an exception. Good day.
Professor, let me show you.
No, I said good day. Thank you. No, I said good day.
Please send us the cleaning bill. It's okay.
Don't worry.
Yes? Yes. No. Maybe.
Mr. Brown?
I'd like to see the subject now.
Excuse me?
Please, come on in.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, Stevie. I'm Mr. Brown. I hear you're having trouble with your peas.
Well, what do you think?
How long has he been like this? 3 hours?
3 days.
Let me guess, you told him he couldn't leave the table until he ate all his peas.
Well, that's how our parents got us to eat them.
Oh, really? And were the peas that your parents are trying to get you to eat as gray, lifeless, mushy, and disgusting as the ones on the wall there?
Disgusting?
Yes, they were that disgusting, and we liked them. Okay, we didn't like them, but we ate them.
Well, look, Mr. Brown, can you help our boy or not?
I don't know. He's pretty far gone. You know how kids are when they dig in their heels. They're like pit bulls. Have you ever seen a pit bull really grab hold of something? You got to get a pry bar in their mouth and jimmy it around. And the problem here is not so much that we need to open his mouth. We need to open his mind to the possibility that peas aren't just good for you, but that peas are good. I wish I had a dime for every case of pea-lock I was called in to work. It's the ugliest culinary dispute a family is likely to face, and it always has the same result, you know? The kid buckles, he eats his gray, lifeless orbs, and then passes on the tragedy to another generation. It's a vicious cycle, all based on ignorance. Neither little Stevie nor his parents appreciate the fact that unlike their leguminous cousins, beans and lentils, peas are unique. They can be eaten at almost any level of maturity. They can be consumed dry or fresh. And of course, in the case of sugar snap peas or snow peas, they can be consumed in their pod practically in a raw state. They will have to wait for their own show, however, because today we are going to focus on the pea that American kids love to loathe, the English garden or sweet pea, and its very versatile ancient ancestor, the field pea. Now, field peas, which usually come in yellow and green, sometimes orange, are hardier and starchier than sweet garden peas. And they're historically significant because they were one of the first foods to be gathered and then dried. Now, imagine a cave-dwelling family that had peas like these would be able to get all the complex carbs, proteins, minerals, and good old-fashioned calories that they would need to survive winter when the hunting was bad. And because they split naturally when they dry, they can be cooked without long soaking, which even gives modern cooks a big advantage. Oh, and here's another fascinating fact. Early European agriculturists, like my little friend here, learned fast that if they were going to live off of staples like wheat and barley, that they were going to have to practice field rotation. That is because cereal crops tend to deplete nutrients from the ground. So you have a parcel of land, you split it in half, you grow your grains on one side, and you leave the other side fallow so that it can recover through a growing season, and then you rotate the crops. Peas, however, do not deplete nutrients from the land. In fact, they feed it. So if you take the same parcel of land and split it into thirds, growing peas there, and we'll say wheat here, and leaving this little piece fallow down here, you can actually double your nutritive output every other year. Now, peoples who adapted the three-field method, such as the Franks under Charlemagne, eventually came to dominate the economic landscape of Europe. So you could say that peas changed the world. Now, I'm not going to try to tell you that little Stevie, or any American kid for that matter, is going to learn to love field peas simply because they have historical significance. But I will tell you that I think American kids can learn to love field peas because they have a very, very complex flavor and a nice meaty texture that lends itself well to a wide array of applications, such as split pea soup, which will begin with 12 ounces of green split peas. Now, even though these are split and they're out of the shell, that doesn't mean that they shouldn't get a little bit of a rinse. So park these under some cold water. Just look for anything that doesn't belong. Pieces of shell, which are not going to cook, small rocks, sticks, things like that. These look pretty good. So while those drain, we will get the rest of our mise en place. Place your favorite large saucepan over medium-low heat and then add the butter. Now, and just as soon as that starts melting, you can add 1 cup of the chopped onion, the total amount, and a good healthy pinch of salt to help pull moisture out. Give that a stir every couple of minutes and let it cook for 2 to 3 minutes or until the onion is soft. And remember, if you hear a lot of sizzling, you're sauteing, not sweating. That's not good. Since the garlic is cut into much smaller pieces than the onion, it goes in towards the end of the sweat. Just give it a stir and cook for 1 to 2 more minutes. It appears that our sweat has given its all, so it's time to add a little additional flavor in the form of our curry powder. And I'm going to turn the heat up all the way so that we can bring all this chicken stock to a boil. And that is everything. What? Let's never speak of this again. Needless to say, the peas should be invited to the party at this point. There we go. And just bring this up to a boil, as I said, and then drop the heat to low, slap on the cover, and cook for 45 minutes or until the peas just don't seem to be able to hold themselves together anymore. Now, time to check seasoning, and that will require a clean spoon. A little bit of salt, but not much. What we had in the sweat was good. And a fair amount of pepper. Peas love pepper. There we go. Now, although the peas have fallen apart, this is by no means a puree, so you might want to hit it with your stick. Thank you. Now, to transfer this to little Stevie's house, all I'll need is my favorite thermos.
Wow, that smells great.
It looks really good.
Is there any extra?
This is for Stevie, but if this works out, I promise I'll leave you the recipe, okay?
You know, I remember reading that they used a lot of pea soup in making the movie The Exorcist.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because it stuck to clothes and stuff.
Oh, like your coat. Or that shirt, which is real nice.
You know, maybe this isn't what I want to be walking in there with right now.
Could be
Dangerous.
Yeah.
Well, what am I supposed to do with this? Go ahead. Well, maybe I should spend some time trying to appeal to his intellectual side. Hey, Stevie, just got a little movie for you to watch, okay? The garden, or sweet pea we know today, was born when 17th century Dutch agriculturists spotted the occasional mutant mini pea plants in their fields, and no doubt building upon the work of Gregor Mendel, did what they've done with everything from carrots to tulips. They coaxed entirely new varieties of plants out of the gene pool. Unleashed upon Europe, the dwarf pea, or petit pois, started a craze in the court of Louis XIV, where lady courtiers took to consuming large plates of the tender goodies right in their beds just before lights out. The Dutch would go on to develop the snow pea, which would become very popular via the Portuguese in China and Japan. But that's another show. So, Stevie, what'd you think? Have you ever heard the old nursery rhyme, peas pudding, hot peas pudding, cold peas pudding in a pot 9 days old? Of course you have, but have you ever taken the time to wonder why it's peas pudding instead of pea pudding? Well, it turns out that the original singular of the noun was peas. That was twisted by the Saxons, most likely, from the original Latin pisum. And what happened is that as the English language developed the standard S plural, peas became used as a plural, and a new word, pea, had to be invented as the singular. Fascinating? No, not so much. Well, let's take a look at peas pudding, which, like most English puddings, was really just a bunch of mushed up peas put in a cloth and boiled for hours and hours. I actually believe that this is the device that began the whole kids hating peas scenario. Luckily, the natural evolution of this method brings us to a far more kid-friendly form. Ladies and gentlemen, the burger. But in our case, we're not going to be talking about a hamburger, but rather a pea burger, which is my secret weapon against pisophobia. Start by placing a medium saucepan over medium heat. Add 1 tablespoon of olive oil to the pan and then pile on the vegetation. 1/2 cup of chopped onions and 1/2 cup of chopped bell peppers. Green or red will do nicely. Top that off with a generous pinch of kosher salt just to help pull some of the moisture out of the sweat. Stir that off and on for 5 minutes or until the veggies are nice and soft. When they are soft, add 2 teaspoons of minced garlic, plus about 4 ounces of sliced mushrooms. Creminis would be nice. Let that cook for another 4 minutes. Remember, we're still sweating here. I don't want to see any browning. When the mushrooms are soft and have given up a good bit of their moisture, add 1 cup of dried split peas and 1/2 cup of uncooked brown rice. Then follow that with a teaspoon each of ground coriander and ground cumin. Finally, liquid in the form of 3 cups of veggie broth. Homemade, of course, would be nice. As soon as that's all mixed in, you're going to want to increase the heat and bring the liquid to a boil. Then reduce the heat and simmer for 1 whole hour until the peas are good and tender. Once your peas are cooked, move them to your food processor and just pulse 5 or 6 times until they're just combined. Do not puree them. Once that's done, add 3/4 of a cup of dry breadcrumbs plus a little kosher salt and black pepper to taste. This mixture then goes into the refrigerator for at least half an hour so that the texture can firm up and the flavors meld. When you're ready to cook, just place a non-stick pan over medium heat, lube up with just a little bit of olive oil, maybe 1/2 teaspoon or so, and dose up a burger. I usually use a disher and get about 5 ounces per burger. And flatten out just as you would a regular hamburger patty, but then lightly dredge in just a little more of your breadcrumbs. That's going to help to create a firm brown outer crust. It'll taste good and help things stay together. Cook for 3 to 4 minutes per side, flipping the patty just once. And if you want to do this on the grill, you'll also go 3 to 4 minutes per side over high heat. Voila! There, we've got it, kids. Imagine a burger that is actually good for you and good eats. Yep, I think little Stevie's about to meet his match. As soon as I'm done with my lunch, of course. Well, Well, he cleared his plate.
Oh, what a relief.
And so apparently did you.
Oh, they really are good. We're good.
Well, Mr. Brown, honey, get his coat. Thank you so much for all of your help. And if we ever need to call on you again, we'll just pick up the phone, send an email.
We're not done here. We're not done.
But he ate his peas.
No, he ate my peas. Don't you see? He doesn't know he ate peas. But it's okay. We've got a chink in his culinary armor now. Now it's time for Stevie to face the pod. This shiny green pod contains 8 fresh garden peas. Now, you don't often see peas in their original and intended containment for 2 reasons. 1, peas are at their best during a very slender slice of springtime, usually from late March through May. Another reason is that once picked, peas lose their flavor fast. As much as 40% of their sugar can convert to starch in the first day after picking. So long-distance shipping is pretty much out of the question. That means if you do find these fresh, you want to be sure they're very, very fresh. You want the pods to be nice and firm, a little glossy, and when you rub them together, they should squeak. If they rattle, it means that the peas have pulled away from the inner pod and they are therefore past their prime. Now, as I said, these will lose flavor fast. So if you're not going to cook them right away, even the refrigerator is not going to buy you much time. Nope, for that, we'll need to go to the freezer. Garden peas take to the deep freeze better than almost any other veggie. They were, in fact, some of the very first foods to ever successfully undergo the freezing procedure. I keep them on hand at all time, and might I add, they're very good for boo-boos. Anyway, these things are useful, unlike canned peas, which are inferior when it comes to flavor, texture, nutrition, and just about anything else that you can imagine.
Merci, monsieur.
Why they are so popular with the French, I can't understand. Maybe it's got something to do with Jerry Lewis movies. One of the reasons that kids, or at least country-born kids, don't care for peas is that unlike snow peas and sugar snap peas, they have got to be shelled, and it's a job best done by little fingers. But to tell you the truth, I've always kind of liked shelling peas. Is that wrong? Oh, anyway, there is an easy way to do it. First, you just grab the pea, and with one end kind of pointing down, you press until the opening starts, and then just unzip it with your thumb thusly. Then you run your thumb through like that, and voila, no more peas. Once you have about a pound of peas shelled, it's about 3 cups, you'll be ready to fabricate one of my very favorite applications. Get that oh, come on. Bring 3 quarts of salted water to a boil and add your peas. Fresh peas will take about 3 minutes to cook. Frozen peas, only 1 minute. When your peas have cooked either 3 minutes or 1 respectively, it's time to get them off of that hot water. So drain them in a colander and have a very, very large bowl of ice water standing by. And once the boiling water is drained away, just drop that colander right into the ice. This method will keep you from having to pick little pieces of ice out of the peas later. Once the peas have thoroughly cooled, remove and allow those to drain. Meanwhile, in another bowl, whisk together 2 tablespoons of red wine vinegar with a teaspoon of kosher salt, 1 tablespoon of minced shallot, and half a teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper. And just whisk to combine. When it comes together, drizzle in 3 tablespoons of olive oil. Amazing what you can find at laboratory surplus websites these days. Of course, a small paper cup with a hole punched in the bottom would do the same thing. It just wouldn't look so cool. Once your dressing is thoroughly emulsified, time for some herbage. 2 teaspoons each of fresh chopped mint and fresh chopped parsley. Then cheese, 4 ounces of ricotta, salata, fontina, or Swiss, cut into cubes. Last but not least, the peas. The drained, chilled peas should be carefully folded in. A mere 20 minutes in the refrigerator will allow these flavors to mingle very, very nicely, a fact that I feel certain little Stevie will appreciate. Okay, here we go. crossed.
Well, honey, what do you think?
He likes it.
Well, it looks like my work here is done. Unfortunately, scenes like this play out 1,000 times a day in thousands of households across this great land. Not so much because the kids in question are spoiled punk brats, but because parents often procure low-grade produce and then cook it to mush. It's a sad, sad story, but it doesn't have to be that way. Look, just treat your peas well, people, and your peas will treat you to... Sorry, excuse me. Yes? Yes? Won't eat his Brussels sprouts, eh? Everything else that you can imagine.
Monsieur.
You know, he's got one word. It's one word.